After the New York Times published detailed information of Donald Trump's 1995 tax returns showing that he lost a whopping $916 million through his failed businesses, well, a number of his supporters believe that what he did in using those losses as deductions was genius. The fact that he potentially avoided paying income taxes for 18 years after his 1995 returns indicates that he's just a smart man. Let's take a look at what people had to say.
These are alleged documents. There's no authentication for them.
So number one, we don't know if the documents are actually authentic.
The only person who authenticated them is an octogenarian retired accountant in Florida.
Number one, that's a felony, okay, to publish someone's taxes without their permission.
And if they are authentic, the New York Times reporters face jail time, 5 years of jail time.
Look, it's a crime to release someone's taxes and publish them without their permission. And the New York Times should be held accountable, and I hope he sues them into oblivion for doing this.
Up to now, he's worked within the tax code. He's been great at doing that, been a genius at doing that.
My response is he's a genius. I mean, the reality is absolute genius. I want a man who's a genius at figuring out how to take this country. He was a genius in being able to do that. He was a genius at how to... Don't you think a man who has this kind of economic genius is a lot better for the United States than a woman?
Ooh, yeah.
Just think, let that sink in for a second. This man who lost $916 million, nearly $1 billion, is a genius and would be better for the country than a woman. Okay, that was his statement. That is amazing.
Well, I mean, Rudy Giuliani and Christie both say Donald Trump is a genius. He's like the Brian Wilson of being an asshole, right? That's what I think. That's the kind of genius he is. Right?
Well, look, first of all, he didn't do the taxes. The guy in Florida, the octogenarian that guy just disparaged, is the genius. He's the guy who was like, yo, you lost $960 million, but I can get you out of this. And Donald Trump was the crooked mofo who was like, yeah, let's do it. 20 years, no taxes, that's fine. And I just get to live my life the way I do. He wasn't the genius. He's not a genius. He's an idiot.
Yes.
He's an idiot because all you got to do is watch him in that debate. He says things he doesn't need to say. When Hillary says, you might not have paid taxes, and he goes, that makes me smart. It's like, you don't have to say that. It's not your turn to talk. Just lay low and be like, okay, no. Why do you even comment on that?
Yeah.
And then these guys are now sitting there. First of all, they're saying, well, there's no authentication. But
there is authentication.
There is authentication.
Yes.
And also, the Trump campaign didn't come out and show another, like, other paperwork to counter.
They didn't counter it at all. They did not deny the information that was reported by the New York Times. Their response was essentially that Donald Trump knows the tax code better than everyone else. That was the response.
Yes.
And so what they're saying is, yeah, he kind of avoided paying taxes and all that. And he thinks that if you pay taxes, you're not smart or a genius like him. But whatever, he knows the tax code. No, he doesn't know the tax code. In fact, the New York Times is, look, they're, as any news outlet, they're not perfect, right? But they're not going to publish a story like this unless they have a team of lawyers indicating that what they're about to do and what they're about to publish is accurate and that they're not going to face a significant lawsuit by publishing this information. Now, one of the people that they talked to was Donald Trump's accountant, the same person who prepared these tax returns. They went to him, showed him the information, and asked, hey, did you prepare this? Is this accurate? Mr. Mitnick is the person who did this. And he was like, yeah, this is legitimate. This is all accurate, and there's nothing false here. And so New York Times also had their team of lawyers who made sure that they wouldn't get, if anyone sued them, there'd be no legal grounds for doing so. There's something called the First Amendment, which protects the press for, reporting this kind of information. So look, the New York Times didn't do anything wrong. What his supporters are trying to do is distract from the actual information that's important and, do character assassination for the reporter who wrote this New York Times piece. But focus on what's important here. They think that Donald Trump is a winner for losing nearly $1 billion and using it to his advantage.
Let's talk about what's important here, the legality of publishing this. I think that's what we should talk about.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want to talk about,
That's
right? That's all they want. The whole
about.
conversation, they want it to be about the legality of publishing this and not what's in it and what it reveals and what this says about anything. So that's exactly right. It's like, and they're keep trying to do it. It's like they're good at it. I will say those guys are good at it. And one thing about Rudy Giuliani, If there's possible, can we get a screenshot of him when he was talking to George Snuffleupagus? Did he sit on his glasses before he went on that TV show? Did you see his glasses are like this? And he's like, you can't see his eyes or whatever?
He's not winning with those glasses.
What happened with those? Am I out of my mind or his glasses looks like he sat? Look,
Oh my God, you're right.
Did he sit on his glasses?
And look at the eyes getting wide.
What the hell?
Nice catch.
Good observation.
What he was saying was so stupid that I couldn't even really,
Yes.
I got distracted by what he was saying that I didn't even notice how ridiculous glasses look. But again, I mean, how do you sit there and make the argument that someone who lost nearly $1 billion is smart?
That's right. It's not because he knows the tax code. It's because he's such a loser that the tax code takes care of losers who lose that big.
That's exactly
And you know, the
right.
way they spin is amazing because they avoid the admitting. That's the other thing. Like, you know, the one time he came out and he gave that speech where he goes, I might have hurt some feelings, and he kind of gave a little smirk, and like, he won't admit, like, just admit that, yeah, I lost all this money. It was, the economy was bad, and this happened, and then I wrote it off, but now, you know, whatever. Like, but the unfortunate thing is that probably for him is that he probably has never come back and done anything good with the money. So,
Right.
So I mean, it was kind of like when the birther issue came up, and he was like, he keeps saying, Hillary started it, I finished it. But I'm not racist. And I go, wait a minute, you're not racist. The birther issue wasn't racist. Well, how many white presidents were
Have you
forced to
questioned?
show their birth certificates? Zero. First black president, show me your birth certificate. Show me the long form. You know what, Trump? Show us your long form tax. What other losses do you have that you're hiding?
No, but you know, I'm glad you brought up the birther story because again, he is so masterful at manipulating the conversation and using it to his advantage because with the whole birther scandal, he basically said, no, but I won. I got Barack Obama to present his birth certificate, so I won. And so there are people who listen to that and think like, yeah, you know what? He gets shit done. No. He is a racist failure. And that's it. That's all he is. And the fact that you buy into that says something about your character and says something about how easily you're manipulated and how naive you are. So it's just incredible. And by the way, I love that the reporter who reported this tax story to the New York Times, Suzanne Craig, I love the way she responded to all the criticism, right? And so she says, I don't think it's a crime to check your mailbox. An anonymous source actually sent the tax forms to her. I don't think it's a crime to check your mailbox, and that's what we did. And then we did some reporting. And that's what you should do. That's what journalism is.
I wonder who will come out to be the anonymous source. Wouldn't it be great if it were Melania and she's trying to get him arrested so she could take the money and run?
Yeah.
I bet you it was a Jew.
Well, it came from Trump Tower in New York. So I don't know. It's interesting, and I'm sure at some point we'll find out who leaked it. But
Or maybe it's him. I think sometimes I think he's trying to lose. I think
he's like, man, I wasn't serious about this.
Yeah.
What happened?
Let me leak a couple pages.
And the harder he tries to lose, the better he does in the election. It's amazing.
You know, both scenarios are equally hard to believe. That he's actually seriously running for president. Like, it's hard to believe that he said that she made a great Secretary of State. He supported her before when she ran. They went to each other's weddings. They golfed together. And now it's like easier to believe that he is doing this as a favor to them. And it's easier to believe that than he's actually trying to win because no one would try to fucking win like this, right?
Yeah.
Nobody would do this. So it almost makes more sense the other way. Honest to God, I'm not even kidding.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see how elections kind of work out moving forward because he has set a precedent, right? Where being civil to one another, you know, being professional, being
presidential.
Now being presidential is not a requirement when you're running for president, and it's incredible.
It's almost like it really is. It's like a lot of presidents. They were a governor, or they were in the Senate, or they led something, right? They did some sort of some sort of political. His training was in reality TV.
Yeah.
And that is what we're in now. It's reality. It's like, you know how you get the Desperate Housewives, or not, what are they called?
Desperate Housewives.
Yeah, whatever. The Real Housewives. I always call them the Real Desperate Housewives. Yeah,
that's right.
The Real Desperate Housewives. Anyway, when you get these Real Housewives yelling at each other, it's almost like that's where he got his training. So he, even at the end of that debate, he was like, there were some things I wasn't going to say, but I'm going to be saying them soon. And he's talking about Bill,
You are exactly right. That is exactly what that's like. It's like somebody talking at a goddamn reality show. You know, talking about being presidential, I don't know if he would ever dance at a funeral for a cop. Do you think he would do that? Because that's what George Bush did.
Yeah.
On stage. Do you remember that?
Yes,
Hey, that's fucking the asshole. There's a dead guy right there.
No.
All right.
We've got some good leaders in America.
We do. We really do.